projects and activities in it. We can control robots, different types of gears. We have a Lego wall marble game with different ramps. We have different flexible seating in the room, and we work with partners. Our teachers take us there to build different robots and work on electricity and other things. We learn new things instead this timer. Here are some pictures we would like to share. We have been doing robots in the timer. We have been using Botley. We build a track in the classroom. Next, we place him on the line and he follows the line. Sometimes he has to find the line. First, we flip off Botley. We got off code and line, so first we put him on the line. We set him on the line. We have to start with him and he follows the line. He talks to us and he whistles. He follows the black line. And he says, "Don't be dumb."
He's having a little trouble with the carpet.
Yeah, with the carpet.
Wait, what? I got it. That is the wrong way. Here we go.
He'll do it.
Oh.
That's okay.
If you were to code and you place him on code and use a controller and click on forward or whether you want him to go.
Oh, sorry. It's okay.
First we flip up Bolly again and put him on the second his code.
Also, show them to the members behind you, okay? So they can see.
Then we have the controller to, we have a forward button to make him, we have a forward button on the controller to make him go 5 steps forward. It's the green button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have a start button with 3 lines. It's a green button to make him boxy go.
Oh,
There we go.
I got confused there.
Trash button. You can set a course to follow in the classroom. We have to hit the trash button on the controller to clear as memory was, or whether you will keep on going with the prior coding ones. So say if I wanted to take 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forward, then I want to hit the start button. Then I want him to go left, him to go left 5 times. Yeah.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Then I hit the start button. He will just keep on going for the 5 steps. Then he will turn 5 steps, 5 times left. So that's why you always should hit the track. And that's how we use Botley. I love this summer because of electricity activities. It teaches us to make electricity. We follow instructions in the booklet. We need the battery for all times. We use the pieces in the can make a fan spin. We can make a flying saucer. Music can be played. We light up a light bulb, and we can make up our own experiments with electricity. Next, I'm going to show you something we built. This project is to light a lamp and make the fan move. When I flip the switch on, the light turns on and it flies and it turns on like this. Sometimes when I turn it off, it flies up.
Whoa.
guys.
Perfect, great.
Vinny, I should make you follow that one. Just to kind of piggyback off some things earlier, I do want to thank the board on November 15th. We had our board appreciation day in Illinois. So just to thank you for all that you guys do for our school, the district, and community. We're very appreciative. So just a little snack kind of gift in front of you guys and the cards and everything out there. So again, just thank you for all that you do. Okay, want to go ahead and sure have some fun with our
Borrow one of those robots. Could be a little more interesting. We're going to talk about the 2019 tax levy. This is the levy we give to the county in December. You'll do the final next month to secure our local money for the following school year. So let's see what we got here. I understand that there are people here that have seen this quite a few times, and probably some that haven't seen it at all. So I'll try to hit information that will be pertinent to all of you, and if you have any questions, let me know. So last year, in our meeting, when I presented right here, we asked for a levy amount, and we projected that we would get about a 2.5% increase in our EAV. EAV is the equalized assessed value. Our actual EAV increased 1.8%, so that was good. That was really a good projection and a good result. Although we levied for more, the way the levy works is if you levy for more and your EAV does not go up to the level that you thought it might, then you only get the amount of the actual EAV. So our amounts were adjusted accordingly. This is the historical view of our rate-setting EAVs. You can see for several years at the very beginning, 2004 to 2008, went up gangbusters, really. The property values in the area were really rising. And then, of course, we all know what happened in 2008. The housing boom tanked, and values dropped consistently for about 9 years. The last 2 years, our EAV has risen again. I think that we're probably looking at a modest rise, hopefully a trend of just, that keeping it a little bit above zero, 1 to 2%, maybe 3% on a given year, but it's hard to tell. It's kind of iffy to figure out. Levy theory reminders. The levy is based upon the EAV for the district, so everybody's houses and properties all get put together, and that's where the EAV number comes from. The higher the equalized assessed value, the more levy money the district receives. A property owner's share only increases if their property value increases. I mean, all things the same. If we don't ask for an increase, your property values wouldn't increase unless your EAV, your taxes wouldn't increase unless your property value increased. So your property value could go down, and accordingly your amount of levy would go down as well. Now we won't know the district's EAV for next year's levy until April of next year. We have to turn this thing in December. So y'all have got to be magicians today. Get out your crystal balls. We've got to figure out what's going to happen here. So it's due in December. There are 11 fund sources in the levy, and 7 of them have maximum rates, and the rest are as needed. And let's look at what those are. See, our operating funds are the top 4: education, operation, maintenance, transportation, working cash. They have a maximum rate set on the right side, as well as the next 3 under them. Those rates have been at the maximum rate for probably decades. The bottom 4, bond and interest, so you guys sold bonds over the history of the district. there's probably still 5 sets of bonds out there. What they add up to, our amount that we owe for next year will be what we get for our bond levy. So no more, no less. The county's going to look at it and say, this is what you get. The other three, the IMRF, which is retirement funds, tort, community, and Social Security, those are estimates on our part based on what we project for next year in terms of salaries. IMRF would be affected by salaries, tort immunity would be affected by salaries. Tort immunity is also affected by legal fees. Social Security is the 6.2% we pay on the employee's behalf on Social Security. So that's just for non-certified staff because teachers don't pay into Social Security. So we have to figure out all these things, come up with an estimate, and get it to from there. Current levy recommendation is going to be, the goal of the Finance Committee is to lower our overall tax rate. So we do not want taxes to go up at all this year. We would like them to go down. We discussed at length what we think the levy is going to do. We think it's going to go up. We think that we can anticipate as much as a 5% increase, but we didn't want to go any higher than that. And again, if it's not 5%, we won't get 5%. We're going to keep tort, IMRF, and Social Security the same as last year. We have a little bit of a buffer with them. We've got a little bit of cash balance at the end of the year, so we're comfortable in keeping them the same even if our salaries go up and our costs go up. We're good there. The bond fund, as it's going to be adjusted next year, and we already know what that's going to be. Bonds are set. It's going to go down 14.28%. So that's really going to help the taxpayer. This is going to result, if we got a 5% increase in the AV, and adjusting for the bond fund, and keeping those other three funds the same, we would have a 0.6% decrease in our overall levy. Let's say we didn't go up 5%, we only go up 1.8%. The EAV increase would result in the district receiving 2.38% less money than last year. A bulk of that is there, the bond fund. So it's not going to affect your operating funds in a decreased manner, but the bond fund is going to help bring it down. All right. Things that drive the decision for the committee and for Mr. Dietz and myself. The district has had a balanced budget the last 2 years, and that's been awesome. But we've been playing catch-up for the previous 5 years of unbalanced budgets, of low salary increases for teachers and other staff. And so that's a huge factor. There's still needs out there. We are putting on money to our cash balance a little bit each year, and that's been great. So things have been very steady the last 2 years. But we have to realize where we came from. Every year, transportation loses money. We offset that by, in the past, GSA was general state aid. EBF is evidence-based funding, which replaced the general state aid. So we use a little bit of that money to offset the losses in transportation. So that's continuing to be a need. And we anticipate future infrastructure needs. We're doing a great job of addressing those. Kudos to the board, Mr. Dietz. But we're still going to have future needs coming up. Questions? I know it's a lot to chew on.
Rob is the finance chair, so maybe you want to add, or you want to wait till you're...
Yeah, I can go ahead and talk a little bit about it. One thing too is that you guys actually want to see what the state has, and it actually gives you all the numbers broken up. You can Google St. Clair County Tax Computation Report. It'll basically give you this report. It'll also show you all the ones for all the districts around us, stuff like that. But one thing to kind of look at, if you look down this list, is we are up against those caps. So if our property taxes, or if our property values do not increase, much go up, it's gonna actually help us get closer to the numbers that we feel that we need to operate the school, and pretty much go from there.
Yeah, and to go back to Denny's slide on that, if we get the same EAV increase we did this year, it's a 2.36% decrease in our tax levy funding from what we got in the past. So those are funds not coming into us. So, is there, you guys have any questions for Denny? Dave, thank you very much.
Oh,
Appreciate it. Okay. I will go ahead and continue with just a few things. We had ROE compliance visits on November 4th and the 6th. Both went very well. All our files and requirements in great order. Again, Renee, thank you very much. She is the woman in charge of the compliance and files, so she does a great job with that. So that was with Susan Sarfady, and then I walked through with Brad Harriman on the health and safety visit. Just a very few minor issues, I think, that were already taken care of within 12 hours on like a lighting issue. So everything's in order from the ROE and our compliance. I do want to comment real quick on the possibility, because last week my phone was blowing up on the possible apartment complex. It was scheduled to be zoned for the zoning committee behind Kmart. I had a joint meeting on Thursday of last week prior to leaving for the III conference with 201's leadership with Anissa McCaskill and Barry Akuntis. Anissa is the Director of Economic Development, Planning and Zoning for Belleville, and Barry is the VP of Development for Woda Cooper, who's the developer of that, or the potential developer, and just really it was a fact find. There was a lot of information that circulated quickly through social media. A lot of people asking me what I knew, and I didn't. They had not reached out to me, and they admitted that was probably a mistake not reaching out to the school districts to get input. But that is zoned for heavy industrial behind Kmart. So we'd require zoning approval to switch that to residential. It's a legitimate company. If you guys do some research, it is a legitimate company. But it is affordable housing, about 60 to 65 units. I did speak with the mayor, with some aldermen, other community leaders. I just want to make sure that you guys know as a board that I cannot take any political stance on this. I won't speak for it. I won't speak against it. My job, I feel, is just to give those leaders what impact it would have on our district, what it would do to have potentially 60, 80 more kids coming into the district, what they would do. 33 of the 65 units they did say are 3 better units. So I did question, you're marketing this for young professionals, but half of the units are family driven. That is students. That is students, and so we could have an influx of however many students to plan for, to accommodate. So we did talk about that at length, and I thought I appreciate both Jeff Dozier and Brian Minzer speaking that while 201 can easily absorb 60 to 80 students, that district whose population has been pretty steady over a decade, having an influx of 10% increase in a year or 2 time span is a little bit tougher. So I appreciate all their leadership on it, but we'll see what happens. I was happy to hear that they were going to back off going for the zoning and get some public engagement. They want to do some community outreach, maybe a town hall meeting. I thought that was a great idea. So sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas, they are supposed to post whether it's going to be here. I volunteered that we could use our gymnasium or at Belleville 201, probably Belleville West, to have a town hall style meeting with developers so they can present the information, ask questions. He was very open, very willing to answer questions. So it was a very good, productive meeting, and I was glad I got to meet him. But just so we're clear, because I told people who reached out, I will not take a stance for or against it. But here's what I can do for our district. Conference. Yes.
Do you know if they were looking at anything like tests for that?
It isn't a TIF. It's in TIF 3, which expires at the end of next year. Whatever they do with TIF 3, and that's going to affect most of Belleville, that is currently in a TIF district, so they do get incentive money for the materials, labor, supplies. It's the reason they can make it an affordable housing. I mean, we're talking anywhere from $350 to like $500 for the one bedrooms, and it's based on kind of a sliding income of what the tenant income is. They get a bunch of tax subsidies at the front end, so not only do they get the tax breaks from Belleville, they also get federal government tax subsidies, which then offsets the need to charge a high amount for rent. So it's not Section 8, it's not, you know, that type of program. It is separate. They do pay their own utilities. There is an application, there's a requirement for your credit score. So it was nice to meet with them, but I do hope that if they have those town halls soon, that the public goes out. Who knows? Well, I have not heard yet. And I know Mayor Eckert said he was going to reach out today or tomorrow to me and Mr. Dozier, but neither of us have heard from him yet. So if I don't hear anything tomorrow, I'll reach out and see where we're at.
There is a good chance that may also bring in a lot of additional revenue though too. He's looking off of the tax computation report. There's only like 1.7 million in industrial on our EAD. So he figured.
Well, I think that's Belleville's hopes, and I know that was Innis's hope. It's kind of the chicken or the egg concept. Is do we need to wait till there's stores and restaurants in the 15 corridor to bring in people, or do we need to put people in first to then bring in stores and restaurants? So I think that's what they're hoping, but no, I think our community, if they have the opportunity to see and ask questions and then inform the zoning committee or make their opinions known, will be good. I think it'd be good for them to get information out there on what the project is. So. Good? Okay. Just real quick, my big takeaways, I know you guys are going to talk about your big takeaways here in a little bit, but I really thought the conference was exceptional again, but one thing that kept resonating with me was actually opening night with Kai Kai's comment, and I tweeted about it as well, but he made the comment, are we copying the notes from those before us, or are we making our own music? This combined with the session I went, excuse me, on the happiness advantage, which my principals are already hating me for bringing to them, but more work, combined to really get me thinking and reflecting on how can we do things differently. I know me and Mr. Powell had some discussion that night too of things we can do, and I really think our country as a whole has a fundamental and serious problem with being happy. We're the wealthiest country in the world by far, and we're the 19th ranked happiest in terms of satisfied and job satisfaction and being happy in the world. You know, they'd say money can't buy happiness, but the emerging field over the last decade has been positive psychology and the power of positivity and happiness. And it really is incredibly intriguing to me. And it goes, what they're thinking now is we have the entire theory of success backwards. That we train our kids, and I am guilty of this myself, and with myself and with my kids, and even with some of our students over the 15 years I've been doing this, that we teach them you have to work hard first. Work hard, then if you work hard, you'll be successful, and with that success, you'll be happy. But we're finding more and more, whether our students are coming from the highest achieving schools to the lowest achieving, trauma and mental health, depression, suicidal thoughts, and anxiety are just prevalent and rampant throughout our schools. Do we need to have a balance between looking at mental health and happiness combined with when you take care of yourself, then success and work will all follow along suit. So it's really interesting. If you guys ever have the opportunity, I strongly urge you to research Sean Achor and the Happiness Advantage. The research he's done at Harvard and Yale are just, it's mind-blowing. I don't know how we can afford not to look at it, but that was my big takeaway, was that balance of, which we always talk about, positive relationships with our students and teachers, but also the mental well-being of our staff, our teachers and kids need to take a more prevalent position.
principal's reports. Ms. Gibbs?
Okay, so I just want to touch on a couple of things that we have had going on in our building. Troop 12 came on the Friday before Veterans Day, and I was very impressed. So last year we had to do the flag retirement ceremony inside, and that was the first time I had ever been a part of a flag retirement ceremony. And this year the weather was nice enough. I know Alice had to go outside the year before, but it did snow on them. But this year it was so nice out, and so we got to go outside, and the whole thing was a very student-led presentation. The kids took charge of everything. They really didn't even want me to take the microphone to introduce them. They wanted to do all of it on their own, so I was very impressed with some of the young people that we have coming up, and the job that Troop 12 has done, giving them leadership roles, not only within the Boy Scout organization, but then I love how it partners with our school, and then our other students get to experience some of those things. It was a very moving ceremony. It was very powerful. So I wanted to thank Troop 12
You know, I can cut in real quick. Again, Mr. Phillips, kudos to Brian because he did outstanding.
He
was
did.
really very impressed. So kudos.
So I was very impressed with that. Mrs. Wadwa had organized our Veterans Day celebration again. Thank you, Mrs. Lopez, for showing up. I'm sure the kids threw all sorts of really fun questions at you. But our students really enjoy that time where they get to ask questions to veterans and kind of figure out what their experiences are, because to have such a knowledge base, and we have so many people just within our school community as far as parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles who come in, and not only do the kids get to see someone that they love interacting with their classmates, but then, it's a time for those kids to feel proud about people that they know, and it's a time for other kids to be able to share stories about maybe some of their family members who couldn't come. So I thought that was a really good celebration. Mrs. Wadwa did a great job of organizing all of it. Our cafeteria staff made donuts and had coffee for the veterans in the cafeteria, so it was a very nice effort all the way around. The last thing I want to point out is you'll see a couple of times that I mentioned Mrs. Steigerwald, and I just kind of want to brag on her for a second. She is doing such a great job taking on leadership roles within our building this year. So not only is she kind of heading in our building the piloting of a couple of different science materials, but she has programmed, we got our virtual reality headsets, which everyone is so excited about, but she has taken on that leadership role within our building as far as getting those set up, figuring the ins and outs of them to pitch it to other staff. She just did a PLC Professional Development Day, introducing a new technology tool to all of our staff members that is very cool. It's called Nearpod. And so what it is a presentation application, so similar to PowerPoint, except for this one's interactive. And as you go through your presentation, kids can have Chromebooks out, and they have your presentation open, and you're going through your presentation, you can ask them a question, and then the kids can answer on their Chromebooks, so you can get all of that assessment information very quickly and then adjust your presentation based on that. So it was a tool that she found useful, and she pitched it to other staff members, and it's been fantastic having her, develop really as a leader, and I'm really proud of the things that she's coming out with this year. My turn. I waited patiently this time, Dr. Anderson. Are you proud of me?
Yes. I thought about that too.
I would like to say, first of all, thank you to Miss May and Miss Taylor for coming tonight with the kiddos. They did such a good job. I'm very proud of them. I know they're not here to hear that, but I told them in the hallway. Just a couple of things. We were able to order our first water bottle filler. Our service learning team has officially raised enough money, so it'll be installed over Thanksgiving break. We are installing it ourselves, so hopefully it is up and running after Thanksgiving break. I do have faith in Scott, so we are super excited about that. I do want to say our career day was on Friday, November 15th. Thank you, Mr. Dietz, for making time to come and be a part of that with us. It was a lot of fun. The kids love it, all the way from pre-K all the way to 3rd grade. They really just love listening and hearing about all the different jobs and careers that our parents have and our community have. So thank you. Some of you guys attended. Thank you if you attended that. And I was just also going to say you're correct on the flag ceremony. It's a very moving ceremony. It is every year. The students are so well behaved. The Scouts do a fantastic job. And I hope that relationship continues
years. I invite you on December 13th to join our district as we are tacky Christmas head to toe. And don't worry, your students get to join as well. The entire district will be head to toe in our fun Christmas gear. So if you would like to come in, you are more than welcome to show face, make sure that you're prepared, and find your wonderful Christmas attire.
My shirt is fantastic, by the way.
It is totally you.
It's fantastic.
You wait until you see it. Ooh.
That's not
I
good.
like it. Donuts at Disney will be Saturday, December 7th. We will have Disney characters for our traditional Donuts with Santa. Santa will still be there. I will be Tinkerbell. So excited. But feel free to sit from 9 to 11. You're more than welcome to dress up, but if you'd like to come as board members, that would be a great opportunity as well. And then just one other thing, Mr. Dietz and I were able to go to Sky Air Force Base for their education day. There was a group of probably about 11 of us who, it was actually a really great experience. They allowed us to go in character, so you would have a card that tells you about your character. I was a single mom who had a 7-year-old boy. It made me really sad. 7-year-old boy who had special needs. My parents were in Florida, so I had to figure out who was going to watch my kid. I'm also going to move my student from school to school. They don't have like an educational plan besides the IEP. My parents don't know the IEP process. They have to learn how to enroll my son in this new school that he now doesn't have any friends at. I was really sad. I tried to switch cards with Mr. Dietz, but he didn't let me. But they picked us up just like we were getting ready to leave. We rode the same bus that they do. We went into the same lines. We got our assignments. We put on gear. They were talking about how you have to have wheels ready, and your mindset goes in a totally different direction of what to worry about, because it's not you. You're worried about your family. You're worried about who has who, and who emotionally who's going to be there. And then we got back together, and we had a great discussion on how do we provide the needs for our military families, whether they're active or they're not active. How hard is it on our students for Veterans Day, from a student's point of view, if they don't have their parent there? Do they want to celebrate that? Just having those open conversations about how we can best serve our students.
And I think just as leaders too, and as principals being the front line of it too, how can we as a district make it as less stressful as what these families are already going through? Even if they have a spouse to support, it was. I mean, it was for us to be just a small glimpse into what these families have to go through was extremely powerful. And I know we're like, when these families come in, what, instead of worrying about the occupancy permit and this and who's this, how can we help? It was really powerful. And to those who served in the military before, how you lug around that gear, holy cow. Like,
And we had,
she couldn't do it. Oh,
Hey!
this is great.
I lifted too.
You know, light packs.
I was dragging.
but it was,
I had heels on. I'm liking that. But
it was powerful.
It does, and I would just end on this. You know, I think we're a lot of times concerned, and we should be concerned on social emotional students, but to take a step back and look as a family, because there is a lot of stress on everybody. So, great experience. I'll end on that.
I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Neerman. He's working with one of our partners, the BJC Medical Group, in bringing in presentations on social emotional intelligence to our 8th grade students. They're making presentations once a week for 6 weeks to those kids, so it's been very valuable to the kids. And the BJC Medical Group makes excellent presentations to our kids. I want to congratulate one of our 7th grade students, Annalise Williams. She won the poster contest for Veterans Day, and they made a presentation on Veterans Day down at City Hall. And so she made a fantastic poster, and me to attend a new group, Healthier Together is the name of the group. It's a group of pastors, ministers that are all getting together to see how they can help the local community. I met with a group from Belleville 118, and there were a number of other administrators there. But what they want to do is they want to help our schools in any way they can. But one way that I would like to bring them into MG is in a mentoring capacity. We have a lot of kids that could use that guidance, I guess you could say, that support. So we're looking at ways that we can do that, not only from the Healthier Together group, but we're also bringing in a group from the state police that are going to try to help us out with some of that mentoring also. We're meeting with them actually tomorrow, so I'm anxious to try to look into some of this mentoring for some of our kids, and I'm anticipating that that's going to work out really nice for some of our kids. On November the 26th, our 8th grade students will explore careers through the presentation by Ms. Marlene Mueller. The students will be taking a career interest inventory. The 8th grade students will. They're preparing for high school. I know that on January the 24th, they're going to sign up for their high school classes here at MG. So they're all gearing up for that and they're excited. We're growing up quick, and we're happy to send happy to send another group of 8th grade students off to Belleville West, and hopefully they'll be successful as always. We're having a no tardy party coming up. It'll be after the holidays. It's for all the students that do not receive tardies within a given period of time, November 18th to December 19th. So right in this time period now. So the kids are looking forward to that. I went around to all the classes the other day and spoke to them about, challenge them to that goal. No tardies for all. A lot of passing periods in the day to get these tardies, by the way. So it's a real accomplishment, to get through every day for all those days. And we're going to have a nice little party for them after the holidays and celebrate that. Okay? So, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody has a great happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Okay, so committee reports. I know we, building and grounds public relations did not meet. Finance did. I know you talked a little bit. Did you want to?
Yeah, the vast majority of our time was spent going over the tax levy, figuring out what we wanted. We also kind of did a quick update on solar panels. Right now, looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, it was March is when they're saying, but we're kind of thinking maybe April when we'll actually turn everything on. And then also, we're looking at actually moving some of our funds away from what was the Bank of Edwardsville. Forgot the name of that. Yeah, but there was a new.
Oh, the Illinois School District Liquid Asset Fund.
Right, and it's been having not a lot higher interest rate, but a decent interest rate increase above what we can get, both out of the new bank as well as the Bank of Belleville. Either one of them can actually come up to that, so we're looking at shifting some of our funds towards that new program.
Yeah. Can I elaborate on that a little bit? And we did talk about that in the finance, and next month in December, I will put a motion for a resolution in front of you guys to adopt the Illinois School District Liquid Asset Fund. We had always used that fund as a barometer with our local partnerships, and especially with Bank of Edwardsville. We're putting $5, $6, $7 million in there. In the past 3 to 4 months, the District Asset Fund has outperformed now BUC Bank by about 0.3 to 0.4%. When you're putting in, like what we are now, about $5 to $6 million to invest, that comes out to real money over time. So BUC Bank gave them a chance. They cannot meet it. They said, we understand, at this time we can't meet it. It's too uncertain with the interest rates in the market right now. So they completely understood. They said if it starts coming back up and they can compete with it again, they will let us know as soon as possible. But we have since put in all the paperwork for the Illinois School District Liquid Asset Fund. And it is very liquid. You can have it in one day and take it out the next year. It's not a 4-week minimum. It's not a 12-week. It is liquid as we need it. But it is outperforming
policy committee will meet December 11th at 4 o'clock.
Before the policy committee leaves, I have your presence out there. I don't want to give it to you now, it causes anxiety. But it's, and that's,
It's the largest issue of press of all time.
It's double-sided, it's about that thick.
It's double-sided.
268 pages. So, anybody wants to read it?
No, you volunteer.
Well, it's just,
You're gonna hang this, you're gonna get this.
and Sean,
It's all on
because this last
It's a very
Assembly
productive legislative
had
session.
more mandates and more new laws, and it's not just cannabis. I mean, there were so many mandates that were put through that, it's the first time I can ever remember press having to hold its own webinar for a policy release. So both Renee and I sat through that, it was thrilling. There's just a lot of updates, and some of them are pretty substantial, so we'll talk. We're gonna need a little bit longer. I already told the policy committee we'll need a little bit longer that day. It's just a lot. So we'll give it to you early as well, so you have some good Thanksgiving reading. I know you guys will all take notes.
Make it worse.
So we'll give that to you so you can start looking through it and trying to digest it. That's it.
Okay. So, comments by board members, if you weren't already planning on it, to share some of the highlights, quick tips of what you learned at the meeting, as well as any other things, great things going on in the schools. Rob, you want to start?
Yep. So one of the first ones I ended up going to was basically how to recruit board members. One of the things that I was really was kind of unique and special that they brought up is that they were using a lot of their committees to actually bring board members on, and also allowed to bring people up and bring them up to speed easily. One of the things they did that was different than what we did, which may help similar to with the policy committee, is that they only put one board member on the committee. The rest of the committee was actually made up of 3 people from each building that they had. I believe they had 2 or 3 buildings. They were on the committee, and then they also brought other people from outside of the families in there, people who didn't have kids, but maybe had experience. So if they were doing, say, like public relations, they would have people that maybe live in district that work in that specific field, and they would ask those people to be on those committees themselves. The thing that they said is that kind of gave them a broad spectrum of people that were out there, and it also helped make their board a whole lot more, because then that way the board will really had a large group of people that committee chair, in a sense, that was a board member, would then bring that information to the rest of the board. And then it also let people see what's going on, and also let the board know, hey, these are people that we've been working with before. We know we want to have people that have diversity in thought. So then you can know, okay, even though you have diversity of thought, can we work together as a team, and it'll help alleviate a lot of those kind of scenarios. One of the other ones that was probably the most packed session I ever went to was e-learning days. That one, every seat was filled. They had people lined up along the sides, and they were actually pouring out the door. They actually answered a lot of things that we were running into. Some of the things that they were saying, there was 3 districts that the state actually allowed to do e-learning. They said that they ran the same issue where maybe not everybody had internet access. So one of the things they did, especially on the elementary, is they gave the, basically what was going to be used for those e-learning days, they gave them 5 days to actually do it. They also went to the individual companies within their districts, like McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever, whoever had internet access, and say, okay, can somebody go there? So yeah, maybe it's too bad that specific day, but the kid could go there maybe another day or something like that. They also had worked with Sprint, that they would buy access points that they would give kids that didn't have that issue, and Sprint would give them free internet. All they had to do was actually buy the actual device. And they were actually surprised that only about a quarter of their units actually went out. They found out that the students were kind of being ingenious on how they got that access. So maybe they had like a neighbor next door that did have internet, so then the two kids would come together and do it. They worked out a lot of the issues with like how teachers could actually build this stuff. Elementary was especially unique that they looked at. Because they were saying like in the high schools, the teacher only had to really come up with one thing that they had to do. Elementary, they had everything. So the way they kind of split a lot of that up is they ended up having the teachers in each grade work as a group and then say these groups of teachers would do this one, that one, and everything else, and then they would post it and say, okay, here's what you needed. They looked at things like the teachers also are going to have to worry about their own things with their home, with their kids, that they may be off, whatever else. So they worked with the teachers and said, okay, you just have to be readily available during normal school hours. You don't have to be there the entire time, but it's like if a student emails you something or something along that line, if you answer within an hour or two, we're fine with that. And they kind of worked a lot of those kinds of situations. So it was really kind of unique and special with a lot of things that I never really even thought about on how that they worked it. They had also what was known as blizzard bags for pre-K. So they didn't have Chromebooks that they would take home, but they knew that the weather was going to be bad. They had blizzard bags, had everything that they needed in there. They took the blizzard bags home. And then also the last big thing with it is they know that there is a chance that you can go for a long period of time. And then, especially with working with blizzard bags, you can only go so far. So in that instance, they said, okay, when they would run into a situation like that, they would actually do a regular snow day in that instance. But at least if there was something where maybe it's only a day or two, then that was something that allowed them to get through. It also allowed them to use it in emergency situations. They had a school that had a chemical spill near it. So they called it an e-learning day, and they used it for that as well. So like I said, it was some really
I'll
unique
get in touch
stuff.
with you more on some of that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can sit down and go over a lot more in my notes on what's there. Also kind of went to one that was like about how to, instead of building bigger, how to get more with less space. And the big thing they had with it was really, they started looking at using every possible space as a learning space. They started looking at the cafeterias, hallways, everything. They said that there were students in every part of the building at all times. And that's how they were using those specific pieces. I mean, like I said, most people wouldn't think of a hallway as being an actual learning center, but they kind of designed it in that instance. And then there were a couple other things where it was all kind of legislative and some legal kind of issues, what people were running into. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I went to 5 seminars, they were great. The first one was effective financial transparency, and I wish Mr. O'Neill was still here, because he already does a lot of the things that were suggested, making things really clear, using visual, bar charts and things like that, even explaining what the acronyms are, instead of just saying EAB, what does the E and A and the B stand for. So kudos to him, he's doing everything that's recommended. The only thing that we could do that they suggested is whatever presentations that your business manager does, to post them online and keep them online all the time. And even though he showed us historical trends, we talked about the crystal ball, but maybe try to do some more forward thinking as well.
Just so you know, his presentation is going to be posted.
That's wonderful, that's great. The next one I went to was about family engagement, and this was actually run by some of the Illinois chapter of PTA, which is a group that you have to pay dues into, so that's why we only have a PTO. But they have a very good website that has some things that we can, that our PTO can use that are free of charge. And again, the things they talked about are things that we're already doing to get parents in. We're doing like the family learning nights. At other districts, they do, like cultural events or around the world events or STEM events, but book fairs and things like that. I'm like, oh, we are doing those things. thought was interesting was having education nights for parents. So I know that like Althoff did a night about vaping, so we have someone coming in to talk to the 8th graders about vaping. What about talking to the parents about vaping? Another possible topic would be, some parents don't let their kids on the internet at all at home because they don't know how to keep their kids safe. So maybe do a seminar one night on, internet controls for your child. Don't be afraid. They're gonna have to use the internet for school, so this is how to keep them safe. So, and I will share these with Mrs. Bates. But I think it might be interesting to look at PTA and see maybe what we can get from them. And the biggest thing that they said is, as long as you have parents coming in, you should feel successful. Don't look at just the attendance at PTO, which is sad, but they said, if you're doing, just try all these different things to get your parents in. So I think we're doing good, but just some ideas that we can try. The next one was a little controversial. Some of the things they talked about were kind of not things that, I don't know how to explain it, but it was usually us board members are supposed to be in the balcony and our admin team is on the dance floor, and this one was actually called It Takes Two to Tango, so I was like, So, and the district presenting was much different than us, and it was hard for me to relate because they just had different issues than we do, but they did make an interesting point, is that when we're making decisions, a lot of times the implementers of our decisions are the teachers. So are we really making sure that our teachers are on board with the things that we're deciding? And to recognize the teachers that go above and beyond, like Mrs. Steigerwald, they call them TOSAs, T-O-S-A, or Teachers on Special Assignment. And so those are the ones that are helping develop the curriculum, doing the strategic planning, and just making sure that their voices are heard. They even have these TOSAs come to committee meetings. Because again, if we're talking about things that are going to happen in the classroom, making sure the teachers are there too. So that's an interesting point. And very quickly, my last 2 seminars, one of them was dealing with the media. And they gave a great handout. So we'll just put this aside, but if we ever have to be in a situation, that was with Whitlaw. So just feeling how the media is different than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago, and social media and.
That wasn't the one that suggested we should hire human relations or public relations people?
No, it just said, if a story's coming up or you're getting FOIA requests, and then you go to another district and they're getting the same type of FOIA request. We spent a lot of time talking about the ProPublica Tribune article about the seclusion rooms. And the lawyer figured it out because they were getting FOIA requests from every single little special school district about the inclusion rooms, and that kind of said, oh, something's bubbling. So just making sure that, if we can figure out if the media is going to have questions about us, that we're proactive and, when to, build rapport with the media. So if there is a not so great story, that there are plenty of good stories that have come before and after. And then the last one, I'm just going to not talk about it a lot because Mrs. Keys is also interested in this topic, but it's just making our meetings here monthly even more effective. So and maybe there's some things that we can tweak and look over. So I'm just going to share my notes with Mrs. Keys, and we'll work on this in the coming months.
Dr. Anderson.
I went. And I attended all of the keynote speakers. And the point, before I even do that, I want to thank the district for the thank you and the nice cards and things you sent out to us board members. And one thing, and it ties in with what the message that was sent from each one of the keynote speakers, because none of them were educators. They were somewhere else, but they support us supporting the kids. And our main job is to support the staff and make sure that, and I wish, I didn't want to interrupt the kids, but I want to say thanks. I thought they did a good job. the types of things that we saw tonight, that they get an opportunity to be involved in, is our role, to make sure that they can get it and get a chance to do it. You know, so those are things that we should do. So from all of those keynote speakers, we got that message. I'm not gonna be long, but I did attend. I was more interested. I knew you guys were all over the place. So I stayed with one topic, and that was school safety. And I met quite a few, even at, you know, Dave saw me downstairs quite a bit. And I don't give you these cards just in case. And we have these people, these security things. You know, times have changed for our kids today in school. And there are different issues on how we protect, how we communicate. And particularly in one session I went to was that the group, and this was a Peoria group, that they interconnect with the police and all of the agencies within a county or community should be involved. Sometimes we just think it's a school responsibility to keep our kids safe. And then in the search, when something happened, we call 911. And then want everybody to rush, you know, to the school, and after all this is happening. There are things that can be done, and Peoria School District is doing it, and is headed by their regional superintendent. And I thought I was impressed with her. And so for those things I thought would be good for the school. So school safety and the conference devoted to what we do for kids. So it's sort of reinforced. So sometimes we do need a little bit of, even as board members, we need a little reinforcement as what we do as well. And we like to say that to the teacher. But to you guys who had the kids do the little Star Wars thing, I thought that was cute. Okay, that's all.
I'd just like to say thank you for the nice gifts and the cards.
I too did not get to go. Not really saddened by it, but I mean, hearing from everything, I can read, so I have a lot on my plate this month, so it's kind of, yeah. I think it's great what's going on in our district, the students. I always love hearing what they're doing and actually them showing what they're doing in the classroom. That's really cool, because sometimes, I mean, I hear what my kids say, but I enjoy, you know, hearing other people's kids, because it's not just about my kids. I enjoy seeing other kids learning stuff and just getting excited to come to school. It's so cool. And for the teachers that actually, you know, allow them that opportunity and teach them that kind of stuff, invaluable, because those are the memories that they're going to have when they get older. Thank you for the card for the board member day. That was really cool, opening the little mailbox and just seeing the signatures, like, oh, appreciate it. I was here for the Veterans Day. That was super cool. So Ms. Waddle did an excellent job. I got to meet other members of the Armed Forces, retired, reserve, active still. Steve and I did go into a couple classrooms, and I'll tell you what, these students were not easy on any of us. They had some intense questions where we were kind of like, the PG, you know, G rating, kind of keep it cool. But I guess the older kids started off a little slow, but then they started picking up, and they were very curious to see how our lives were in what we did, and it was a great environment just to talk about our experiences. I believe Miss Sparks' class, they did cards for us, and we got like a handful of them, and Steve and I still communicate with a lot of members that are retired, active, or reserve, and we shared their stories, their cards, and our stories, and who we met. And I know Ellis did a video.
Oh my God, did you see Ella's video?
Yes,
Did it
that-
not make you cry?
Yes, and we did share that with our friends and our family.
We were almost viral. We had 7,500 views.
Yes.
I call that viral for us.
Well,
If you
was
haven't
noticed.
seen it, you should take the time to find it.
That was very touching.
Very sweet.
Yes, very touching, very sweet, and they had a lot of things to say, and just people who are still serving that, like holiday times, a lot of people, you know, they forgot that some people are not with their families, and we have have students that, you know, they have to deal with those deployments. They have to deal with all those things that you guys were talking about, how you went to Scott Air Force Base and you had to put on everything. You know, that's like everyday life for them, and we get it, and it is very stressful. So that for you guys to go through something like that and to actually see that, I think that's great, because I think that brings back a lot of like good things. And yeah, if we wanted to do something like, those are intense, stressful situations for anybody, even as an adult. You know, as a parent, that's a lot of stress, moving and then doing what you guys had to do, that checklist. That's real life, and to do that sometimes with less than 24 hours, it's tough. So I think if we do something as a district, you have a lot of veterans here that are more than willing to help and to talk, and you know, if we link up with other resources on the outside, you have a core group that's here, and yes, that a lot of people are willing to step up and help. So I just wanted to thank you guys for allowing us, giving us the opportunity to come in and tell our stories. That was really good, and yeah, it gave Steve and I warm fuzzies, because we were like, wow, these kids. Woo. So thank you very much for all that stuff. Yeah.
And for your service.
So I was going to start with thank yous for the cards and gifts. This is wonderful. And with to take a couple steps outside and read the cards out there, it's going to be great.
I think you're going to say have some cake.
Oh,
Well, look, that's like on the table, okay? We're getting there. And then next, before I go into the ISB conference, I did want to talk about the military piece, because my wife actually just left. So the fact that you guys did need to go through a process like that, and the fact that it had that effect on you, like what can we be doing better, is really profound. It makes me feel good. So if you're looking for like kind of like what we experience, what we go through, especially because I just went through it, you know, feel free to lean on me and Damien. I can FaceTime her every once in a while. So I do thank you for that. So back to the conference, I did get a chance to attend the conference, and the stuff I want to focus on is primarily just the school safety conference that I went to. One of the speakers there was the principal of Columbine, and it's I think that's one of like our greatest fears, especially because it's so dominant in the media, and to see it kind of like first came from his experience was very moving, and it kind of scares you a little bit, so you kind of go into threat mode, like, are we doing everything we can? And so I'm a millennial, right? So you think like, oh, I know everything about social media. That's what I thought, but that's not the case at all. So like after leaving there, I felt kind of like a Gen Xer boomer. Like I don't know, I don't even know anything. So
Hey, I know a few.
so there, one of the biggest takeaways was from a gentleman from a Canadian firm, and there's things that we could be doing. We obviously want to respect the children's privacy. It's a great time in their life without us, weeding through every little nook and cranny to see what they're doing. But there is a lot of the social media piece that is public, and we as administrators can set up Twitter and Facebook, and a lot of the other social media platforms have automatic keyword searches, and it sets up this protocol where you set it up for a geographical area, and then from there you look for certain keywords. Okay, and then not only that, it also produces the pictures and anything that was posted to the public domain that relates to that stuff. From there, of course, sometimes kids post things that they've seen on the internet that they copied on there. Maybe it's a picture of a gun or something like that. So there's searches that you can do that basically tell you if it's a stock image, if it came from the internet, or if it's original to that account. And it's things like that I think that we could do. They're super simple. You don't have to hire another person on board just to manage all of that. That allows us to at least get some insight. Maybe there's individuals that are troubled, and there's certain keywords that we can search for that would, kind of present those ideas or present those students to us. And then because we all know so much about the students, with the context, we probably figure out who it is. Maybe not have to delve into that. Assuming it's not an immediate threat. Like maybe it's just a student that needs help from a social worker or something like that. That give us kind of a heads up.
And is that a software platform or can you?
It's already on the social media. It's on the social media platforms. I did get a chance to. There was a bunch of the extra packets left over, So I'm gonna sort through those, and then I will release those to the board. And anybody else who wants one, there's tons and tons of information in there. And the firm the main firm I thought that was the most impactful, they provide a lot of their resources for free. Because, they think that we as administrators and teachers should have them, and I totally agree with that. So there's a lot of takeaways and a lot of things a lot of information collecting that I think that I want to do just for my own sake, and take some of those ideas and implement them moving forward.
Awesome.
I don't know. I'm telling you, I was walking around. I was like, all right, it's time to go back to school.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, this meeting has been wonderful. The students did great. Thank you so much. Third grade and sim room, and we have a Botley. We love Botley. Botley does not like carpets. We know that. But that was really, really precious. So thank you for everything. And yes, all of the love and the things and the cards, the pack that Mrs. Adamson's class had sent home with my son. The drawings are incredible. I mean, just the artwork and the abilities of our students, which is, I'm sure, partly for Ms. Schlarman's work with them. You can just see all the pieces that our curriculum pours into them that they were giving back in our cards, and that was really, really precious. So I kind of focused on learning how to do presidenting sessions at the conference, and kind of what Shannon had said, one of the things that kept coming up in these 3 different sessions that I attended were these kind of your board procedures. Well, it's like policy, right? Like, no. They also then take it a step further and kind of have these board procedures, and which can help with, how we manage our agenda and consent agenda, and utilizing Robert's Rule of Order, which is so much fun, and a nice thick book that we have now to read. But I really do like the idea of a procedure guiding tool, and it also helps in determining, public employee comments, and making sure that anyone who attends the meeting knows why would you come here, and at what point would you interact, and how would you do that, and what would that purpose serve? And so just being able to, it allows you to have something maybe that's more transparent and posted out there for the public. So that's something that I would like, if you're all interested in thinking for having kind of a new business item, and maybe even if it's something that comes together when we're all together with our goal planning, just thinking about making sure that we're showing the public how we manage ourselves, and so that they can see that. And so Shannon had a document. I did have some people at my table that I emailed and asked for them to send me their copies, just for a starting point for us, just to make sure we're making the most out of our sessions and helping others. I actually was a delegate at the delegate assembly. That was pretty intense, and there were, I think they said 48% of the schools were actually represented there, and it was, there were some hot button items, and a lot of grumblings in the crowd, but it was a really great learning experience, and I was happy to be a part of it, and I am sorry that my document was locked beforehand, but next year. But it was so interesting to see how much a lot of the districts really prepared and even put things forward, and that's something we could do if we really felt strongly about an issue. So it just really showed me kind of through my part of the session is that we all actually do have a voice in the state in many ways, and I think that's kind of empowering and exciting. So yeah, and then it's the other thread really flowing through it was social emotional, the social emotional support of our students, and how do we do that. That came up time and time again from the other school board leaders, that this is what they're dealing with, and there's all these roots, and so what are they? And so I think that gives us, things to kind of start thinking about, and from the sessions that we've gone to, and ways to brainstorm best ways to help support the students in the classroom. All right, moving on. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
need a motion to approve the tentative 2019 tax levy as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Yeah, great job, Finance Committee, with all that. Really,
Thank you, guys.
really appreciate that. It's good discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Bushwhacker, yes. Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes.
I need a motion to accept the resignation of at-will employee Emily Eubanks, effective December 30th. She is currently a K through 3rd special ed classroom aide with Ms. Cuddy.
So. Second.
Discussion?
Very sad, but I'm happy she's gonna, she has to take this leave to finish her student teaching. She's looking for her teaching degree.
She's going to make a great teacher. Very exciting. Roll call.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Bushwhacker, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
I need a motion to hire the following at-will employees: Kayla Brown McGee, a pre-K individual aide, and Danielle Harbaugh, a K through 3 special ed classroom aide.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Bushwhacker, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
I need a motion to approve Sarah James as the spring musical assistant.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
She's been pretty much doing this for quite some time anyways, but it is actually a paid position. There's a small stipend for it, so Mr. President is recommending salary approved as administration. So up to you guys.
Roll call.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez?
Yes.
Mrs. Bushwhacker, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have building use requests?
Yes, Kids for Christ, we'd like to use the MG cafeteria on Thursdays in the spring.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the building request as
I'll make
presented.
the motion to approve it. So moved.
Oh, thank you.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Lopez? Yes. Mrs. Bushwhacker, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes. Okay, items for consideration. So old business food services.
Nothing to update unfortunately this time. We sent in our, what is it called? We sent in the feasibility study, that's what it's called. We sent that in a few weeks ago, we have not received word from them just yet, so thank you to Deb for helping fill it out and to Denny and Renee. We'll see what they say and we'll explore options. If it does come out as a positive, I will invite at least the OPA group, but we will open that up. That is a bidding process, but at least I want to invite that group so you guys can hear from at least a company of what they could provide. That would be something that would be bid out through the RFP process. I think Ms. Kramer talked earlier about Donuts with Santa.
Yes, you could come in costume. We would love that. We'll be in costume. Yeah.
Excited.
What do you want to be? We have costumes. They actually donated them for free for the night first. You could borrow mine. Sorry. Are you trying to get out? No.
And then on to the next item. Our next community mobile market, and I have reached out to Signal Hill. We have not set up a time, but is Thursday, December 5th. I would like to invite Signal Hill with us, and it'll still be held at Ellis. We will still run it. We had quite, is it Tuesday? Tuesday, December 5th.
Fifth is Thursday.
That's a Thursday.
It's at mobile markets Tuesday, December.
You told me 5th. You told me it was the 5th.
Who's the third?
So it's
Tuesday the 3rd is a totally different thing. So none of us are gone on that day then.
It is the first Tuesday of every month except for January.
So we'll have that on Tuesday the 3rd.
change your calendar.
Change all of that around. I will be there.
The one of the
That's good
business
news.
reports says December 3rd.
Yeah, it's okay. We're good. We're good.
Okay,
December
we're
3rd.
good.
I will invite someone because we did have a lot. After 2 times, we had quite a bit of food left over, and that's only the half.
Yeah.
The half order. So as a West End kind of regional community, I invited Signal to the party as well.
Do you like keep track of how many people show?
We have to, as part of the process, we have to give those, we ask each car, how many adults, how many kids, that's really the extent, and then everything's
What is it, 54 cars that we served?
last time. You said it was an increase from the first time.
Yes, it was an increase, and it's 100 and,
But we still had a trailer full of food. We reloaded our trailer up and donated to the Belleville Pantry. So it's still benefiting our community, but I think we can get more cars. So we have to extend that to a West End.
we had 213 people, 122 kids. That was bad.
And each kid got 1,000 egg steams.
Yes. We gave away a lot of eggs.
Literally a box of egg. It was a lot.
Do you think that maybe whether we do it or otherwise, but I was just thinking, do you think that maybe our location, having it on our campus might impact how many people show up or don't show up? What I mean by that is that some families might be embarrassed to show up to the food drive, and therefore.
Having it at the school might be minor thing. Having it at the school takes away a lot of the stress because you actually have to, they come for health, life, safety. So it's a lot easier for us to have it because of our kitchen, because we
Yeah.
already have a lot of that ability.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just.
Yeah. No, I was just letting,
Yeah.
I was just letting you know, that helps to whereas if we didn't have, Deb in the kitchen, and have access to a freezer, it would look totally different of what we could provide.
Okay, so
And I do think there were a number, because they know that I like to talk, so they put me in charge of talking about cars coming in and stuff.
Right.
We did have a number of families who were like, they just drop, because it's around the time they drop off.
Yeah.
So they drop kids off, and, hey, can I get some too? Absolutely. No,
Please.
Yeah, please, take some.
Yeah.
So I think it will continue to grow, but in terms of spreading the word, I think the word is spreading. That is, I think no matter what, in any of those type of drives, it's like the same thing with some of our families when we do toy drives and the canned food drive. And I can't empathize of what that is like. But we do have families who, they don't want to take advantage of it. Whether it's through embarrassment or pride or, I'm going to do this on my own, but I appreciate it. I think you'll always have a certain element of that, but we hope just to continue reaching out, that we make it as non-threatening.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I was just.
But are there families who probably won't show visit? Yes.
Yeah.
There are, absolutely.
Josh, I thought you were gonna say the location since it's kind of remote. Could we get a couple signs to put like
Our hope,
at the stoplight, by the gas station?
yes, and our hope is to rotate it between Harmony and Ellis.
Okay.
Ellis we received everything first for like license and inspection, so we were getting up and going. Our hope is, starting like, we're not having one in January, February, to start having them at each location, so that even some of our parents that would live behind, MG could walk, in a basket or something.
The other issue is that sometimes you will need the walk-in freezer. The walk-in freezer here is way too small, which coincidentally, I'll just do that right now. I did apply for a school equipment grant, so thanks to Deb for that, to replace our one here. It's not that it does have some issues with it, but it's just for what we want to do with our community, it's too small. So we're looking at about a $40,000-$50,000 grant that I wrote for Somerville, from Zoom. Okay, sorry, I had other new business. The big thing is I have talked to the union, and we used to have this years ago, and I would like to bring it back, but it would require the yes from both the board and the union, is to look at an MOU to reestablish teachers being able to help supervision and after-school activities. We had it years ago, there was a per diem, or $20 per hour, or whatever it was, but it would really open up a few things. One, time for the principals, that's 3 or 4 hours, a couple nights a week. They could be working on evaluations or getting work done, being on the premises. But I remember when I was a young teacher, I signed up for every possible game there was because it was a little extra money too. They can be involved, it's a little extra earnings, but it really is a nice kind of relationship of being able to have teachers to help supervise the games and the administration. The union is very open to it, but I wanted to bring it up to you guys to kind of think about, see if there's any questions. If you don't
have is, I remember when I used to go here, there used to be these, mobile gates. And especially if you're talking about like basketball games or any events that are in the school, it was a gate that basically went across, blocked off the hallway.
Oh.
So that way, it's like, when they are here for basketball, they don't have access to come all the way to the park building.
That'd be accordion gates.
Correct. I know we used to have those, you never saw them during the day, but I remember like when we had Cub Scouts, they had them in the hallway, and all you could do is be in the spot that you were supposed to be in.
Yeah,
And that kind of,
I could be crazy, but I think those double doors in the hallway, I think we can lock those. And so I could be wrong, so that's something we can look at, but there's a set of double doors right by the new STEM room. Those might be, I'll have to look and see what the bar is. I don't know which side the bar is on. But I agree that looking at the gates could be.
and even thinking like at, Harmings, I know like the Scouts use, or not Harmings, Ellis, they have it, but then we'll have to look at some of it, but I said it wouldn't be a bad thing, at least have a couple of them.
I'll look at that.
And say, hey, we can block off certain parts of the building if we're letting people use them after hours.
Okay. I'll look into it.
Any other new business or things that we want to bring up? Okay. Moving on to public and employee comments. If anyone would like to say anything. No? Okay. That's all right. So we have upcoming board meetings. So in December, we will approve the 2019 tax levy. We will have donuts with Disney, Santa, dressing up. In January, superintendent evaluation. Yep.
Barney has invited us to a dinner to just say thank you to you guys. And the date he has given so far that we're hoping works is Friday, January 17th. So Friday, January 17th, I'll send an invite out. Spouses are welcome. So I'll send an invite out. Just let me know who can make it, and I'll get him those RSVP numbers.
Last year, the superintendent evaluation was on an evening, like a weekday evening, we did that. But then in February, the district board, we took a Saturday, and dove into those. I don't think it would take the time to see what it did last year. We actually had, Rita from IASB come in and walk through that with us. So that was really helpful. But that will be coming up in February. And then in March, we would amend the current school calendar, snow days, all those fun things, as we've already had. Approve the calendar, new school calendar, and then have the notice of reduction in force for certified teacher dismissals, or certified teacher dismissals if applicable.
Do you guys want to wait until next month's meeting? It's only like 3 weeks to set those dates for district goals.
Yeah,
Do you
so
wanna
if
do
we,
it tonight?
no, I think let's look at our calendars and kind of think about, if we want to stick with an evening, we could do an evening superintendent. It could even be after committee meetings, or, if we want to do it that way, if you feel like you want it on a Saturday. But just start thinking about what dates might look good. I think February last year, we did it the first weekend in February. It was pretty early on a Saturday morning, around 9. But we can always look at our calendars and see if we want something different. So just what you might like.
February 2nd last year.
So yeah, so we don't have to set those now, we just know and we'll think about what we want that to look like. So, I need a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase and Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this act. Also, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular district has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the district finds that an action is probable or or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the closed meeting minutes.
So,
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Christopher, yes. Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Pollard?
yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Dr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Keys?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopez?
Thank you all so much.